Yes, I love this land. It takes my breath away.
Welcome to Texas 10. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Steve.
And we've been traveling the back roads of Texas for the last 5 years. And you know, when you travel, Steve, you got to have a place to stay.
You do. So while we've been out on the road, we started back roading it, right?
Yep.
And a lot of times you ended up with Airbnbs or bed and breakfast or
the Emma Hotel in San Antonio.
Well, that's something different. So we're going to talk today about some of the greatest places we've stayed, and they can be little places and they can be grand places, but they all have Texas hospitality in common. And if you want to know a little bit more about the best places to stay, go to texas10.com, look in the county or city that you're interested in, and you're going to have great information about where you can lay your head.
Well, let's start with the Emma Hotel. It is an amazing hotel. It was a brewery. They've redone it. And I'm telling you, I have never been any place where service and style and thread count is better.
All right, well, let's back up a little again. Let's tell them the Hotel Emma is in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, sorry. Yes, it is.
Right. And it was the Pearl Brewery forever. And brewing culture is a big part of San Antonio. Lone Star and Pearl are original famous beers here in Texas. Both their main breweries were in San Antonio. This was the Pearl Brewery, and it had fallen into disuse. And there was a guy that ended up owning most of Pace Picante sauce and sold that and had a lot of money and wanted something to do and decided to renovate that. And now it's what's called the Pearl Arts District or the Pearl District because it's not just the hotel.
It's really great. Lots of restaurants and shops, but I will say the queen of the whole thing is the Emma. And in fact, it's named the Emma because Emma actually ran the Pearl Brewery after her husband died.
Right.
It's a really great story.
There were several Emmas. That guy was married to, and I think you read a book about that.
I did.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's great history there. And one of the things that's so awesome about it is they have preserved the history within the hotel.
Right.
You get to, and you don't have to stay there. You can go in and just look around.
I will say that is the priciest of our hotel stays, but you can do it because how do we afford to stay at the Emma, Steve?
Well, so I have Sonic to thank for that because I get iced teas at Sonic all the time, and for several years what I did was take the change from the Sonic and we saved them in pickle jars, and eventually we had enough for a night at the Hotel Emma.
We did always tip the Sonic people, though, with a $1 bill. But, so the Emma is grand and amazing, and there's lots of grand and amazing hotels in Texas, but there's also some really fun, quirky hotels. Let's go to Big Bend.
Right. So when we first started our official journeys, our first long journey was out to West Texas, terminating in the Big Bend area in Terlingua. Now, Terlingua itself is it's a phenomenal little town. And there are all sorts of interesting places.
Oh, yes. Unique doesn't even begin to start explaining Terlingua.
Right. It's known as the home to the Chili Fest, the Chili Cook-Off. I remember there's a boat there. There's a dry dock boat in the middle of the desert that serves as a VRBO. Right. But where we stayed...
Well, one of the places we stayed was base camp. And, you've heard the term glamping. Well, we stayed in these that they look like teepees. But you walk in, and it's like this beautiful hotel room. It was so cool.
Right. And it was in May when we did it. And so it gets a little warm out there. It's not the middle of the summer. Right. But it was remarkably comfortable. And again, the thread count and all the rest of that. Now, you did have to walk up to the shower.
You did. And then there's also other ones that I want to go back and stay in. They're bubbles. We didn't get to stay in those this time. And you can stargaze as you can sleep under the stars, but still be really comfortable without creatures crawling into your sleeping bag.
And I think those are becoming very popular. We saw some of those near St. Joe's, Texas, too, the bubbles.
Right. And then, the other places in West Texas that I love to go to Marfa. And well, my favorite was El Paisano. And that if you've seen some of our other episodes, that's where all the cast from Giant stayed. And it was a beautiful, grand old hotel. And then after we stayed there, where'd you take me?
We went to El Cosmico. Now, both of our sets of parents, were RVers or Airstreamers or whatnot. El Cosmico is a motel, but it is just old.
They're all old RVs,
right.
And it's hilarious. I mean, they've built these little showers outside the RV, and you go, not the warmest shower I've ever taken. But you can shower under the stars. Those are kind of interesting. So I will say it was fun. You definitely need to do it. I remember we met all those old coaches who were going on a retreat, and you sit around fires and meet people, and it was really fun.
So what I would say El Cosmico has going for it the most is what you just said. There's a real sense of community when you're there. There's a lot of adventurers, a lot of people they're just having a great time.
Okay, well, so let's keep driving. Let's go to Austin, Texas. One of my favorites is the Austin Motel on Congress Avenue. It's got this quirky, fun pool. I don't know. It's like it was in the, what would you say, the 60s, 70s?
It's the late 60s, early 70s.
We might have to post a picture of you in that cute little striped robe they have in there. They were so much fun.
I don't know about that, but it's like time travel. When I said late 60s, early 70s, and the motel, in fact, has been there that long, and people that don't know South Congress in Austin, now it's like Rodeo Drive.
Right.
It is the epicenter of high-end stuff, and the company that operates the Austin Inn also does the Santa Fe, the Magdalena, and a couple others in that general area. And it's Bunkhouse is the name of the company. They're all fantastic hotels. The Austin Inn's the most affordable
Austin
out
Motel.
of them. Austin Motel is the most affordable of all of those. And it has been there. The others are new. It has been there and has been through the transformation of South Congress.
Well, and you can float in the pool. In fact, they actually sell memberships to the pool if you live in Austin. And they have this funky little bar out there. And they have fun little floats that you can float on. I mean, it was probably my favorite 4th of July.
And it's the great thing is it's very close to the Continental Club. It's very, I mean, if you're out looking for fun on a Saturday night, you can get back to your hotel from not very far away.
So let's go to Fort Worth, another one of my favorites.
Now, Fort Worth, it probably has 20 great old Texas hotels. But our favorite actually is a new Texas old hotel.
Right. It's in the Stockyard. It's called Hotel Drover. And okay, so you're in the frontier, but I'm telling you, it is comfortable. It is beautiful, great thread count. And it's just fun. It has like the iconic artwork, the fluorescent signs I loved.
I guess what you would call it is modern Western art is throughout the place, and it's really eye-grabbing. And because it's in the Stockyards, and because the rodeo has become a year-round weekend thing, it is always popping. I mean, there is every weekend, it's packed. The rates reflect that. But we did points on that one, I think.
Well, and they've got a great pool, and they made me this cool bag tag that I have a brand on it, and I highly recommend going to the bar there and getting a nice little margarita. It's great.
It's great. And there are other great places. The Hotel Texas, the Stockyards Hotel, the Hotel Worthington. I mean, they're just great places to stay in Fort Worth.
Well, and we don't only stay in hotels. When we really first kind of started this, I don't know, well, he found these great little VRBOs, and my favorite one was really one of the first one we stayed in. It was this kind of log cabin.
Well, it wasn't kind of.
It was.
It was a log cabin.
They shipped it from Pennsylvania. Is that right? Yeah.
This couple were recent retirees, but she owned a vintage shop in town. It was in Cisco, Texas.
Right.
And they had purchased a log cabin from Pennsylvania. They broke it apart in Pennsylvania, shipped it down here, and they put it back together on their property. And it was really apropos because Cisco, Texas was the very first hotel that Conrad Hilton built.
I was going to say that.
Okay, go ahead, talk about it.
And it's on the train tracks right there,
Right.
and yeah.
And there's a little museum there, and so of course he became one of the great hoteliers of the world, and she's just following in that tradition.
Right.
And the other thing was they brought us this great little breakfast.
Oh my gosh, it was so good.
Right, you don't usually get that in VRBOs.
No,
like the one in Crane.
Yeah. Well, they also had a beautiful Victorian home themselves behind it. So it was very cool.
Right.
And so there was that one. And then we've missed sometimes too.
Okay.
So
go ahead. Tell your side.
There was one little town and there was no place. There were not even any motels. And he did find a place. And literally it was in a person's backyard.
Well, the log cabin was in the backyard.
It was not the same. But it was an adventure. It really wasn't so bad.
It turned out great. That was in Crane, Texas, and there just isn't anything near there. I mean, there's a couple of hotels, but they're just sort of standard motels. Right. And that's sort of what you do.
And then, of course, in Galveston, we loved the Hotel Galvez, the Grand Galvez now, and also the
Tremont.
The Tremont. Loved both of those. And then there's one I really want to stay in. I want you to take me back. You know, I talk about the motor courts and growing up, and when my family would take driving vacations, my dad would look for the vacancy sign, and I loved those motor courts. And we found this cool renovated motor court in Coleman, Texas, and each room has a theme. We haven't stayed there yet, but we have to.
We do. And I would like to go. We've tried to, when we're in a town, even if we're not staying there, we try to visit other hotels. And two that I would like to go back to stay in like that is the Hotel Turkey in Turkey.
Oh, I'm dying to do that.
And
yes.
it's sort of a ramshackle inn during Bob Will's day, which you can't get a room there. It's the epicenter of all of that. But they're pretty renowned for their service and their food and whatnot. And then the Hotel Matador in Matador.
I fell in love with that little hotel.
And it was sort of like the themes. Each room had a theme. It could be the sheriff's room or the rustler's room or whatnot, and very authentic.
We are pretty much out of time, but there are so many cool small hotels, motels, VRBOs. So you need to go to our website, texas10.com, and Steve will put them all on there. And then we would love to hear if you've stayed at some great places that we need to seek out.
Right. And my advice is to go to Sonic and save your pennies and eventually get yourself to the Hotel Emma. It did wonders for our marriage. So that's...
Oh, gosh. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, that's all we probably have time for.
We're out of time.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get a talking to.
Now I'm blushing.
Thank you so much for being with us on Texas 10. Like us, subscribe to us, do all the social media things, and get out and see Texas.
Join us again. Bye.
Bye.
And I love this land, oh, it takes my breath away. From the Palo Duro to the Gulf Coast plain, from the heart of the hill country to the piney wood shade, I love this land. It takes my breath away.